Did you see it, folks? At the weekend, Finn Russell playing in the Premiership for Bath converts a kick from the sideline and immediately looks at the crowd who's been giving him some stick and gives them a wee shh. Bit of a cheeky moment from the Scottish international, but by no means the only moment we've had like that in rugby history. We're going to go through 5 kind of similar moments, be it player against fans or player against player, where there's been a kind of bit of a cheeky bit of banter, cheeky bit of back and forth. Some might even call it a bit of shithousery. And you guys can let us know your thoughts. I have written up a piece for this one for Planet Rugby, so that'll be down in the description, so check that out. There's heaps of rugby content over at Planet Rugby. And yeah, I may always miss some of the stuff in this video that might be in the article. But yeah, 5 great moments of kind of shithousery. And I should say I'm coming at this largely through my own rugby watching experience through the years. So I've noticed a lot of these moments are either my team or kind of in competitions that I was following, or, you know, my team doing it to somebody else, somebody doing it to my team. Those are mainly the ones that stick. But yeah, we'll go through them. You guys can let us know your thoughts. The first one is an Aussie. An Aussie doing a bit of sledging. Who would have thought? George Grian. George Grian. This one, and I don't mind this kind of stuff. Like, I know rugby gets on its high horse about rugby values. I don't mind a bit of banter. I don't like the guys rubbing each other on the head after they've just won a penalty or something. Like, you know, you win a scrum penalty, you rub the opposition prop's head. I don't like that. But if you've got a cutting one-liner or a gesture, I think that can be pretty good. Adds a bit of spice. George Grian had possibly the ultimate one-liner against the All Blacks when he just reminded them, as he put it, about how the cycle of the World Cup is every 4 years, because it was the 2003 World Cup semi-final. The All Blacks are playing in Australia against Australia. 2 pretty star-studded teams, and that was a good Aussie side. Good All Black side too. The All Black side, for context, is on an 11-match unbeaten run. They have played Australia twice that year of the World Cup, and they won both games, including a big win, 50 points to 21 over in Australia. And then the return fixture, which there was a bit closer, a lot closer, but that saw the All Blacks win back the Bledisloe Cup. We've not lost it since, but that's the year that we won the Bledisloe Cup. So it's a big, big year. This All Blacks team's pretty good. They did lose to England earlier in the year, but yeah, they're favourites going into this one. But the Wallabies go ahead. And Justin Marshall, who's the starting halfback for the All Blacks, has taken a wee bit of a rib knock. He's replaced on 47 minutes by the replacement Byron Kelleher, who Grian later put it that Kelleher was a bit of an in-your-face player. He could be quite annoying, which is a halfback's job. And Grian also said if you kind of say certain things to him, you can get under his skin and maybe make him kind of doubt himself a little bit. So he's not just going to ignore the words that you're saying if you can get him with something good. And Grian got him with something good. The All Blacks were chasing the game. There's 8 minutes to go. All Blacks are 12 points behind, so they need 2 scores. And at the base of a ruck, Byron Kelleher knocks the ball on. He's trying to pick it up and it just bobbles forward. And Grian puts out that cutting line. He just looks at Byron Kelleher. And he said it was totally directed at Byron Kelleher rather than the All Blacks generally, even though the fact he added boys. But 4 more years, boys, 4 more years. And the camera was right on him as he said it. I think Grian would maybe have preferred that moment not be captured on camera. But yeah, he said he's gotten a lot of stick about it over the years and whatnot. But you got to admit, it's a pretty good line. It's a pretty good line. So yeah, quite a brutal one from George Grian. I didn't like him at that time. Probably because of that moment. It was cut a little bit too close to home because the All Blacks kept choking at World Cups. The next one is a Super Rugby memory. It's a Crusaders player, and it's old Andrew Mertens. If you weren't watching Super Rugby, you may not have seen this one, but it's back in 1999, back in the glory days of Super Rugby. And you got to remember, Andrew Mertens is a South African-born All Blacks player, and by 1999, he's coming off the bench for the Crusaders. And in 1999, only the top 4 teams qualify for the knockout stages. So it's like semi-finalists, basically, for Super Rugby. The Crusaders, with a couple of weeks to go, I think we're 3 weeks out from the end of the season. The Crusaders are still kind of chasing down that 4th spot. They need all the points they can get. They need to win. And they are behind against the Bulls. But they score a late try. And Mertens has got the chance to put the Crusaders in front if he can kick the conversion from quite wide out. But he misses. He misses the conversion. And the crowd give him a lot of stick. It's one of the biggest cheers of the night, or the day. The fact that Andrew Mertens missed the conversion. But it's not over yet. Franco Smith for the Bulls, he later on kicks the ball out on the full, which gives the Crusaders a bit of attacking territory inside the Bulls' territory. And second chance given to Mertens. He slots a drop goal and immediately turns around, looks at the crowd and gives them 2 fingers up. Big time. He's enjoying that moment, considering they've just given him a bit of stick. So he puts the Crusaders in front, to which Hugh Bladden, the commentator, describes as saying he threw his hands in the air, which is one way of saying he flipped off everybody in the stadium. He gave everybody the finger. But yeah, the Crusaders end up holding on to the lead and qualify 4th of the 4 teams qualifying for the knockout stages. And they end up going on to win Super Rugby. So potentially one of the kind of great moments for the Crusaders. You know, one of their, I think it's their second title. May not have happened if Mertz doesn't get that droppy. I haven't seen Mertz speak much about that since, but if anyone can find a clip, do let me know. The next one involves an Irishman, and it's old Peter O'Mahony. And this one has a bit of recency bias to it. But like George Gregan's one-liner, Peter O'Mahony's one to Sam Cane in 2022's Tour of New Zealand was a pretty cutting one, where he said to Sam Cane, "You're just a shite Richie McCaw, pal," which is a pretty tough one, because Peter O'Mahony's played up against Richie McCaw. I think 10 years earlier, a young Peter O'Mahony came to New Zealand on a tour of to tour with the Irish side. And he played I think the first and the third test. And McCall was playing in the first one and the third one. But the third one he was playing at number 8 alongside Sam Cane, who was at number 7. So, yeah, he's literally played up against McCall and Cane in the same back row, Peter O'Mahony. So, if there's anybody who's judging who's a good who or whatever, Peter O'Mahony's got first-hand experience. So, for context on this tour, Ireland are down here in New Zealand. There's big expectations of them, but realistically, teams don't come down here and win test series. New Zealand win the first game at Eden Park pretty comfortably, so it's 1-0. But then the second test is where we get this line. The All Blacks are chasing the game. Ireland are 23 points to 7 ahead. There's a bit of handbags, there's a bit of frustration. There's not that long to go. It's at like 75 minutes. And from the handbags, O'Mahony and Cane come face to face, where he spits at the line about being a shite McCaw. And again, because the camera picked it up, there's a lot made of it. Sam Cane's asked about it the next week, and he just kind of dismisses it as a bit of banter. And then it goes through up until the Rugby World Cup. Some of the Irish pundits were giving Sam Cane a bit of stick. And then at the quarterfinal, All Blacks obviously win that one. And, yeah, they asked Sam Cane about it again in the post-match press conference. And you can see Fozzie smiling next to Sam Cane. Sam Cane just kind of, again, dismisses it as being kind of not something he's focused on. But it's a pretty bloody good line, man. So, yeah, I'm sure he was happy to get the victory to kind of at least dismiss that a little bit. Next one I'm going to go with is back to some old Super Rugby. It's my team. And it is Carlos Spencer. And again, if you haven't watched Super Rugby, especially New Zealand on New Zealand clashes, you may not have seen this one from 2004. It's a famous try. It's a very famous try. It's the start of the season 2004. I think it's the second round. Both the Blues and the Crusaders, who don't like each other very much, it's like Munster-Leinster, although the relationship between the Blues and the Crusaders used to be even. It's now very lopsided. But back in 2004, it was a lot more even. Kind of traditional rivals, you know, don't like each other very much. Gloucester, Bath, or whatever teams you want to compare it to. So yeah, the Blues are down in Christchurch, away game, second round. Both teams have lost in round 1. And the Blues are ahead. They are ahead 31-29 with 1 minute left to play. And they are literally in their own goal area. It is one of the greatest coast-to-coast tries you'll ever see. Carlos spins it wide in his own goal area. I think Rokotoko carries it up, offload from the deck, and Spencer, the man who started it, is the guy who finishes it off. Now, he doesn't just canter over to put the ball into the sticks. He walks, surrounded by his teammates, all the way to the corner to dot the ball down. Now, everyone's assuming at the time he's doing it as a bit of a way to put some salt in the wound to the Crusaders. He's since said post that he was just trying to eat up a few more seconds on the clock. That's what he was doing. But nobody knows what's going through his mind at the time. His teammates tell him to put the ball down. He puts the ball down, but the Crusaders are still in a position to get a losing bonus point if they can't get the conversion, which now has to be kicked from the sideline. Before that happens, though, after he's put the ball down, he gives the crowd a bit of up yours. He says because somebody threw a coin at him. Someone from the fans, the home fans, the Crusaders fans, threw a coin at him and it missed him, so he gave them a bit of up yours. That's what he says, but at the time, again, nobody could see that. So, he scores a try, gives them an up yours, and then to rub it in, he kicks the sideline conversion. Carlos Spencer was never one of the greatest goal kickers, but he got that one, and, denied the Crusaders a losing bonus point. So it was all going Carlos that day. Hell of a try. Hell of a conversion. Overall, for that season, though, the Blues didn't make the playoffs. The Crusaders did. The Crusaders ended up finishing runners up to the Brumbies, I believe. So the Crusaders kind of had the last laugh, but it was a great moment. And then, last one. This is the one that I'm not kind of that connected to, but it's a really famous, or at least it's a well-seen photo, which kind of highlights the competitiveness of Johnny Sexton. And honestly, to be a player at the level of half of these guys, you need to be incredibly competitive. I mean, Richie McCaw's wife said in that movie, Chasing Great, that like Richie McCaw, if he's going to the door to put his shoes on, he'll race you to see who can put your shoes on first. Like, it's that unhealthy level of competition kind of thing that a lot of these great guys have. So, clearly Johnny Sexton, he gets pretty fired up when he's on the rugby field. And back in 2009, he had what I guess became a pretty infamous moment. He certainly doesn't like talking about it. But, Heineken Cup semi-final 2009, Leinster against Munster. So for New Zealand fans, it's like Blues Crusaders of old anyway. So it's a big rival match. Munster are the reigning champions of the Heineken Cup. And a few years earlier, they've wiped the floor with Leinster in the same competition semi-final fixture as well. So it's only been like 3 years earlier. So there's a bit of revenge factor here on the cards for Leinster. And also there's a rivalry between Sexton and O'Gara. Sexton's not been capped by Ireland at that point, but he's hunting down O'Gara's job. I think Sexton had been called up in 2008, the year before, for the Irish squad, but he'd broken his thumb, so he wasn't able to play. But he's certainly on the radar. He's still coming off the bench for this game, Sexton, because Felipe Contepomi is the starting 10, and O'Gara is the starting 10 for Munster. So Contepomi gets a knee injury. Sexton comes onto the field. They're leading 6-3. And then Leinster score a cracking try through Gordon Darcy. And that try leaves Ronan O'Gara kind of sprawled on the floor because he's tried to make the defensive play at the end. But he's on the ground on his hands and knees. And Sexton just comes and stands right over him and gives him an absolute spray. And there's a kind of perfectly timed photo of him just standing over him, giving him that spray. It is it's a very, very heated kind of moment. But as I said, there's a lot going on. It's two rival teams. It's a big game. It's a semi-final. And like between the two of them, there's competition for that number 10 jersey for Ireland. So there's a lot going on. And Sexton said that from the previous game where these two had played, there'd been a few words exchanged between them. So there was a little bit kind of bottled up and he was kind of letting that out. So he let it out all right. Now, he did say subsequently, Sexton, that he kind of regretted that moment and that he felt he'd let himself down. You know, the kind of emotion of the moment and whatnot kind of gets to you. But I don't know, like Sexton didn't change since that moment. I mean, one of his last acts, was getting that ban when he wasn't even on the field for kind of swearing at the ref. So, Sexton was just the ultimate competitor. And sometimes that means being very, very, very fired up when you're on the rugby field. So, there you go. 5 moments of kind of great rugby shithousery. Certainly by no means an exhaustive list. And like I said, like the Grian one, the Omani one, the Spencer one, certainly my teams were all involved in those games. And the Mertens one I would have been watching because it was, you know, Super Rugby was very big deal in 1999. So certainly that moment would have been all over the TV screens. The Sixto one's the only one that I've kind of gotten to know of after the fact. But it's still kind of a massive moment in games. You guys let me know some other moments that you reckon would qualify as great moments of shithousery, be it fans and players getting a bit on each other. I know Rico, you won it, giving Sexton a bit of a one-liner or two at the end of the quarterfinal. Went down well with some people and less well with others. Player-on-player moments. Sometimes it can be dirty play, but hopefully nothing on this list is particularly dirty. It's more cheeky, if anything else. But anyway, you guys listening, thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Together.